We begin a new week of Bruce Hooley shows here on 989 The Answer with flickering lights in the studio, maybe emblematic of how things are going for Kamala Harris as we are 8 days from the presidential election. Lost track. I know she was booed at least twice over the weekend or heckled. She does not know what to do when she is heckled, and I don't know if she'll know how to go on next week if she is defeated by Donald Trump in the presidential election. But as I've told you before, don't get your hopes up. Don't get too optimistic about this, because given all the things that have happened to Trump and all the things that the Democrats have orchestrated against Trump, and the fact that they go to ridiculous lengths to disparage him, shows you how determined they are to keep him out of the White House. The latest iteration of Democratic lunacy as it relates to Donald Trump, of course, is the labeling of his sold-out rally yesterday at Madison Square Garden as evoking images of Hitler's Germany and Nazism, because in 1939, apparently, there was a rally at Madison Square Garden, which is not the Madison Square Garden that Trump was in last night, because Madison Square Garden has been torn down and rebuilt. I think moved at least once. It's been, I think, torn down and rebuilt 3 times since then, or twice since then. But nevertheless, MSNBC, apoplectic over all the red, white, and blue and all the patriotism on display. J.D. Vance spoke. The hopeful soon-to-be vice president of the United States, Melania Trump, spoke. Elon Musk, Byron Donalds. Unfortunately, there was a comedian who made some stupid remarks that either were or certainly are going to be portrayed as racist toward Hispanics, which was dumb. Don't mix politics and comedy. You get an edgy comedian out there, it's a niche audience. That's a stupid move. It's an unforced error by the Trump campaign. The stuff he said, I can see why it would be offensive to people. It was just ridiculous and dumb. But here's MSNBC looking at a packed Madison Square Garden and thousands of people waiting on the street outside, and bars and everything else in New York City jam-packed. Here's the MSNBC take on what happened at Madison Square Garden last night.
See it there on your screen. In that place is particularly chilling because in 1939, 50,000 supporters of a different fascist leader, Adolf Hitler, packed the garden for a so-called pro-America rally. A rally where speakers voiced anti-Semitic rhetoric from a stage draped with Nazi banners. When a Jewish protester rushed the stage, the Associated Press reported, quote, instantly, a dozen or more stormtroopers set upon him, knocking him down and beating him as he held his head in his arms. Most of his clothing was torn from his body. Later, he was booked for disorderly conduct. That backdrop of history, Donald Trump, the man who has threatened to use the military against opponents he calls enemies from within, who has threatened to use the troops to quell what he says are lawless cities, and to use those troops to carry out mass deportations of immigrants, is once again turning Madison Square Garden into a staging ground for extremism.
So as always, down the middle reporting from MSNBC, down the middle of Crazy Street in Stupid Town. 85 years earlier, a rally was held at Madison Square Garden by actual Nazis, and they pull a headline of a guy who rushed the stage and got beat up. And this is exactly like Trump's rally. I don't know why. John F. Kennedy would have held a rally at Madison Square Garden in 1962. I don't know why Bill Clinton would have even attended, nevertheless bothered to accept the Democratic nomination for president in 1992 at Madison Square Garden, since it is the place where every time it's full of Nazis, including apparently for Knicks games and Rangers games and the one Big Ten basketball tournament once. The NIT every year, apparently full of Nazis. So I think because we have continued to hear these comparisons of Donald Trump to Hitler and to Nazis, I'm going to go into my Wayback Machine and ask a couple questions given what I know about, at least what I was taught about Adolf Hitler, and what I see in Donald Trump. I think if Trump is aspiring to be Adolf Hitler, he's not doing a very good job. He's not fully capturing the essence of the whole Hitler thing. Because if you are president of the United States, and Donald Trump was, and you fail to invade a single other sovereign country to take it over and make it part of your empire, I feel like that's not checking an important box on the aspiring to be Hitler list. If you fail to take over major American corporations and businesses and have them run by the government, which Donald Trump did not do, again, important box left unchecked on the whole wanting to be Hitler thing. If you did not segregate an entire race or nationality or group of people and put them in death camps, that's an utter failure on the trying to be Hitler front. Now, it is also odd to me that if Donald Trump is indeed Hitler, then I think the Democrats have some work to do cleaning their own house. Because I distinctly remember sharing with you last week a story about imperiled sitting Democratic U.S. senators in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, Bob Casey and Tammy Baldwin. In Michigan, where Elise Slotkin is not a sitting senator, but is nevertheless somebody who did what Casey and Baldwin did, and something Sherrod Brown has done before, which is tout their support of some Donald Trump policies. Now, Democrats, I got to tell you, it would help me take your whole Trump is Hitler thing seriously. More seriously, at least. Not seriously, but at least more seriously. I could lend a bit of credence to it if members of your own party who are afraid of being beaten 8 days from now by their Republican challengers would not be reaching out to embrace times they have agreed with Donald Trump. That would seem to not be a good position to take if you are, as a Democratic Party, all that worried about Donald Trump, in fact, being the reincarnation of Adolf Hitler. Those are just a few of the concerns that I have. Now, we know black voters are very, very important in this particular election. MSNBC with Jonathan Capehart, who just went into like all the parallels between the Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden in 1939 and the Trump rally last night at Madison Square Garden. MSNBC went out on the road and they thought, well, you know, we gotta augment our Trump Hitler reporting. Hey, there's a black voter. We're MSNBC, so we just automatically assume that all black voters would hate Donald Trump. So let's go over, let's talk to this guy, and let's see if, in fact, he will help us paint a picture of Donald Trump as Adolf Hitler.
I've heard so much about Trump being angry and he's a fascist and a dictator, but the problem is when I listen to him, I don't hear any of that.
I don't hear any of that. He didn't say some of that. I don't hear enough of that, or I don't hear a lot of that. He said, I don't hear any of that. You know who else doesn't hear any of that? Jewish, because he's a comedian. He's not really funny. He's actually vulgar, and I don't like him, but he has disparaged Donald Trump many, many times before. Michael Rappaport, he too has had enough of the Trump is Hitler argument.
Call him whatever you want. I've given you gem after gem for years, but stop with the Hitler shit. Do not refer to Hitler and the Holocaust, the actual greatest slaughter and actual genocide of the Jewish people ever, for attention and political gain. Stop it. That Nazi rally that took place in Madison Square Garden in 1939 was just that, an actual true blue Nazi rally. So are you saying that anyone and everyone who shows up in Madison Square Garden is a Nazi? That's a Nazi rally? What kind of rallies are happening on the college campuses in New York City, in Union Square, where they're waving Hamas flags and kissing Yahya Sinwar photos?
Yeah,
what
that's
kind
a
of
problem.
rallies are that? Do not mention the Holocaust, Hitler, to score political points when you ignore the greatest slaughter of Jews since the actual Holocaust, which happened on October 7th. All this Hitler talk, all this Holocaust talk, with so little Holocaust studies in schools. Do not bring up Hitler and Nazis when there are 101 hostages. 101 hostages. And
yeah, we don't talk about the hostages anymore, including the 9 Americans. Not relevant to Democrats.
Nice afternoon. High today, 68. Clear tonight, low 56. Partly sunny, breezy day tomorrow, the high near 80. On Wednesday, a warm day, clouds and sun, breezy. We do have an elevated fire.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $80 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
In Washington, D.C., backing radical liberal policies.
Late-term partial birth abortion, where the baby is partially delivered alive. Trans biological men in girls' sports and bathrooms. Puberty blockers and even sex change surgery for children. Amnesty for 11 million illegal immigrants.
Brown's liberal policies are the opposite of the Trump agenda, and Brown would oppose Trump at every turn. To undo the damage of the last 4 years, President Trump and Ohio need Republican Bernie Moreno in the Senate. 6 more years of Sherrod Brown? He's for they, them, not you.
Mr. Mayor, I wondered if I could ask you about any communications you've been having with the Trump campaign about this rally or otherwise, and if you believe, as others have said, that the former president is a fascist.
You know, I have been had those terms hurled out down the temperature, and I've heard people say that the former president should not be able to have a rally in Madison Square Garden. I strongly disagree. This is America. This is New York. And I think it's important that we allow individuals to exercise their right to get their message clear to New Yorkers. And our job as a city and as a police department is to make sure they can do that in a peaceful way. I think that we must be extremely cautious. The heat we turn up today, pre-election, is going to have to be the heat we're going to have to govern in. And I think we need to show a level of respectable communication. And so when people called me fascist and other terminologies, I didn't like it.
Afternoons at noon, or call our office today at 614-917-1040. If your approach to everyday aches and pains is to mask them, feel better for a few hours, only to have the pain return and then repeat the cycle all over again, it's time to try Relief Factor. And the good news is, Relief Factor makes that easy. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. Instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it. How? Well, its unique formula of ingredients helps support your body's response to inflammation. Relief Factor was developed by doctors. It's 100% drug-free. And for so many people, the results are game-changing, even life-changing. So give it a try. Right now, their 3-week quick start is just $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. See how in just a few weeks or even days, Relief Factor can reduce your pain. When you feel better, life is just better. So don't mask pain. Fight it naturally with Relief Factor.
Still time to get great deals on MyPillows or other MyPillow products. All you need to do is plug in my promo code Bruce when you go to mypillow.com. It's a website that shows you the entire MyPillow family of products available to you. Now, the pillows are amazingly priced. Under $15 for a standard MyPillow, $25 for a queen and a king MyPillow. You can thank whatever big box store it was that canceled its order with Mike Lindell that makes this pricing available to you right now. But hey, if you need towel sets, if you need slippers or slides, a bathrobe, a mattress topper, you can save on those items as well. Just plug in my promo code Bruce and the savings will be apparent to you as the prices drop in reflection of that. And free shipping on orders of $75 or more. And Mike Lindell is also giving you a free gift that you can sign up for the minute you visit the website. MyPillow.com, promo code Bruce. Now, there was violence in the campus area on Saturday, and I'm not talking about the almost catastrophic damage to Ohio State football team's chances of making the college football playoff. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, I want to take you back inside Madison Square Garden last night as Elon Musk appeared on stage in support of Donald Trump. Trump has said that Musk will have his eye on government waste and fraud. He'd be like kind of Ohio Auditor Keith Faber, who keeps his eye on waste, fraud, and abuse in the Ohio government realm. Elon Musk will be doing that for the federal government. And here is what Elon Musk had to say last night in a packed Madison Square Garden.
Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that. We're going to get the government off your back and out of your pocketbook. And America's just not just going to be great. America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before.
That would be fantastic. I have questions as to whether we can do that or not, because we're not united like we were during World War II, for instance, or post 9/11. But if anybody could do it, Elon Musk could certainly do it. Love his ingenuity, his creativity, and love his boldness in coming out and standing for Donald Trump. He's not taking a squishy position. He's not like some of these billionaires who refuse to say anything on the record because they're trying to play both sides. You know, I'm really glad that the LA Times and the Washington Post, for instance, aren't endorsing a presidential candidate. That's a shot at Kamala Harris. But, you know, Jeff Bezos, he could come out and he could say, you know what, if Kamala Harris is elected, her policies will be horrendous for the American economy. But he won't do it, of course, because he's just trying to play both ends against the middle. Now, of course, before you can have a rally at Madison Square Garden, you have to get it cleared by the city of New York. So Friday, before the big rally at Madison Square Garden, they had all the police gathered for a press conference, all the first responders, all the security people, and Mayor Eric Adams of New York. Yes, he's still mayor. He's getting the Trump treatment by the federal government, same as Trump got from Letitia James and Alvin Bragg. Now Eric Adams finds himself in the crosshairs of lawfare. And somebody at the press conference, I guess, trying to shame Eric Adams into not allowing Donald Trump to speak at Madison Square Garden, asked Eric Adams if Eric Adams agrees that Donald Trump is a fascist. Remember, that's what Kamala Harris told Anderson Cooper on stage. That's supposedly what Mark Milley has said. The guy who wants to understand white rage in the military, wants to read Ibram X. Kendi, because I guess Mark Milley has a surplus of brain cells that he wants to kill. John Kelly, the former Trump aide, he's also said Trump is a fascist. So Eric Adams, here's the question. Do you believe Donald Trump is a fascist?
Mr. Mayor, I wondered if I could ask you about any communications you've been having with the Trump campaign about this rally or otherwise, and if you believe, as others have said, that the former president is a fascist.
You know, I have been, had those terms hurled at me by some political leaders in the city, using terms like Hitler and fascist. My answer is no. I know what Hitler has done, and I know what a fascist regime looks like. I think, as I've called over and over again, that the level of conversation, I think we could all dial down the temperature. And I've heard people say that the former president should not be able to have a rally in Madison Square Garden. I strongly disagree. This is America. This is New York. And I think it's important that we allow individuals to exercise their right to get their message clear to New Yorkers. And our job as a city and as a police department is to make sure they can do that in a peaceful way. I think that we must be extremely cautious. The heat we turn up today, pre-election, is going to have to be the heat we're going to have to govern in. And I think we need to show a level of respectable communication. And so when people...
So he's absolutely right about that. It, of course, won't happen if Donald Trump is elected on election night, which, you know, Michigan and Pennsylvania need how many months? I mean, days do they need to count the ballots? But if Trump's support is overwhelming on election night, and I think it's unrealistic that we'll get a call on election night, unless it's for Kamala Harris, and then we'll be told it's the most secure election in history. But we're going to have to deal with fallout if Kamala Harris loses. We're going to have to deal with riots. We're going to have to deal with unrest. We're going to have to deal with all kinds of craziness. And it could get really, really bad. The kind of things that we saw happen in the campus area on Saturday could be happening in neighborhoods around the country. What happened in the campus area? Well, while Ohio State was playing Nebraska and winning that game by an unexpectedly close margin of 21-17, 2:40 p.m., which would have been about the time Nebraska took the lead, late in the game, or relatively late in the game, a 51-year-old man was shot and killed near the Kroger store in the Short North, 1350 North High Street. North High and Clark Place, nearest intersection, about a mile from Ohio Stadium. We've had campus area violence before. This is getting really close when it happens on a beautiful sunny Saturday afternoon in the middle of the daytime with 100,000 people crammed into Ohio Stadium and another couple of 100,000, at least, I don't know, they come for the pregame. I don't know if they stick around, but they party outside the stadium. They watch the game on TVs. 4 p.m. North High Street was closed for 2 blocks between West 5th and West 7th. Here's what stood out at me, okay? There are just people who don't believe we're in a perilous situation. Mariah and Dan Gray, clad in Buckeye gear, traveled from London, Ontario for the game. They traveled to Columbus often to support the Blue Jackets and Buckeyes. This reported by 2 people, Bethany Bruner and someone else from the Dispatch. So they come to town often. Here's what the story says. Their friend, a bartender, was killed about 3 years ago on High Street. Still, they feel okay about going out in the Short North. Here's a quote from Mr. Gray. "I've honestly never felt unsafe here," Dan Gray said. Well, either he is ready to be immediately inducted into Navy SEAL training, or he's just a stupid Democrat who denies reality.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. Police estimate 75,000 people showed up for last night's Trump rally at New York's Madison Square Garden, maximum seating for roughly 20,000. Democrat presidential candidate Kamala Harris suggesting Mr. Trump is divisive to the extreme. Harris hoping to energize her base during a stop in Philadelphia. NATO says it has confirmed the presence of North Korean troops in Russia. The Pentagon says North Korea has sent about 10,000 troops to Russia to fight in Ukraine in the coming several weeks. Ukrainian intelligence says some North Korean units have already turned up in Kursk. McDonald's plans to start selling its quarter pounders again in the coming weeks and following an E. coli outbreak. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 307 points. The Nasdaq Composite Index ahead 102. More details, srnnews.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit. 800-885-3333. That's 800-885-3333. 800-885-3333.
News, opinion, passion. 98.9 FM, The Answer, anywhere you go. With The Answer's mobile app at 989theanswer.com. Also on your smart speakers, TuneIn or iHeart.
The instability of our economy after this election has many worried, and stocks and bonds could be the first to collapse. Countless Americans are turning to the safest store of wealth in human history to protect their retirement accounts. Physical precious metals. Gold has been a safe haven asset for generations. At Premier Gold, we specialize in helping those with a 401k, IRA, or other types of retirement accounts convert their vulnerable paper assets into physical gold to protect their hard-earned savings. Today, we'd like to send you a free gold election kit to help you decide if this is right for you. Call 606-800-8000 to claim yours. Act before the election to take advantage of the current rollover policies, allowing for a quick and seamless transfer into physical gold or silver. Don't let the outcome of this election influence the fate of your financial future. Call 606-800-8000 now. Premier Gold is not a financial advisor. Please consult with your advisor before investing. Call 606-800-8000.
Owning a home is a dream come true, but keeping it comfortable? Temperature Pro understands that your HVAC system is the heart of your home's comfort. When it needs attention, you deserve service that's fast, transparent, and reliable. More than just a repair company, they're your home's partner, offering professional service that respects your space and your family. For routine maintenance or an unexpected breakdown, trust Temperature Pro to keep your home running smoothly with no surprises on pricing. Temperature Pro, your comfort is our promise.
Dennis Prager here, inviting you to join me on a cruise to the Caribbean this November. I'll share fresh insights about our world today, all while soaking up a tropical Caribbean paradise with you. Call 855-565-5519 or PragerCruise.com.
Well, you might be in pain about the upcoming election and the prospect of Kamala Harris being elected president. There's nothing that the people at QC Kinetics can do for you for that kind of pain. That's emotional pain. But if you have physical pain, if you have been told you are bone on bone, and that the arthritis pain you're suffering, the joint pain you're suffering, no matter where it is, elbow, knee, hip, back, finger, it's debilitating. It's a bother. You can't do what you want to do. I was outside on Saturday. I'm fortunate. I am pain-free. You can be as well, or at least could investigate the possibility of becoming pain-free by taking advantage of the free no-obligation consultation from QC Kinetics. Their clinics in Dublin and Gahanna offer you advanced regenerative therapy. What does that mean? They take your blood out, they separate the platelets, which are the healing agents, and re-inject it back into the affected area, and many have received relief. If you'd like to investigate the possibility, call 380-408-2524, 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. So I know there's a long array of really dumb things that Kamala Harris has said. In fact, I have a special way of archiving all the really dumb things that Kamala Harris has said. Normally when I, just take you behind the curtain a little bit. Normally when I enter sound bites into my little magic system here at The Answer, I enter them by date, okay? But there are some sound bites that are, as we say, evergreen, meaning they're always gold to play. And I just enter those by name. Like I have Biden sound bites, I have Trump sound bites, I have Kamala sound bites. Here's how many dumb things I have marked as evergreen for Kamala Harris. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There's about another 16 more. Okay, well, so we're narrowing down on 40. Okay, we're narrowing down on 40, and I know it's not a comprehensive list. Don't call me. But here's why I bring this up. Because Sunday, yesterday, Kamala Harris said, in my estimation, the dumbest thing she has ever said. I'm not kidding. I'm not teasing you. This is the dumbest thing she has ever said. She was speaking at the Church of Christian Compassion in West Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is dumber than Coconut Tree. This is dumber than transgender surgeries taxpayer funded. This is dumber than I'll work to ban fracking. This is dumber than anything in my array. Here is what she said. One more time, in case you missed it, this is the dumbest thing Kamala Harris has ever said.
God expects us to help him. We got work to do.
God expects us to help him. We have work to do. No. God enjoys it when we follow his word, when we repent from our sin, when we act righteously. It pleases him. But he does not expect or need us to help him. If so, then I've been shortchanging Moses all these years for his role in parting the Red Sea or conjuring manna out of dust, along with a myriad of other people we hear about in the Bible who benefited from the sovereign, majestic, unlimited power of God. We do not carry the burden of helping God do anything, nor can we prevent him from doing anything. Kamala Harris exposes the lunacy, the idiocy of her understanding of God, and she is trying, as she has been trying over recent weeks, to go to black churches and appeal to black voters. Now, she went on to say in this speech, well, let me just take you through the whole service. So she says this, and I don't know if this precipitated what followed, but she got heckled. She got heckled from the congregation during her address. So we know there's one authentic Bible believer in there who understands her positions on abortion and transgenderism and other ungodly, sinful positions she has taken. Somebody gets up to heckle her. Now, you cannot hear the heckler in this audio, but she pauses and she is clearly off her game when she is heckled. And listen how fast the church organist and the rest of the parishioners come to her aid to drown out the heckler, who is then removed.
We face real challenges. We carry real.
Now she's being heckled. You can hear the heckler muffled, but you hear it.
That's why we fight for democracy. That's why we fight for democracy. Every voice is important. Every voice is important.
Now, did you catch what she said there at the end? That's why we fight for our democracy. So I can be heckled from the pews of the church. You might not have heard what she said there at the end. You might not have heard what she said there at the end. But it's important that you hear what she said there at the end as the heckler is being silenced and escorted from the sanctuary.
It's all right. It's all right. Every voice is important. It's all right. It's all right. So
every voice is important. Is it? Is every voice important? If you're being heckled and if every voice is important, why don't you call that person up on stage? And why don't you allow them to express their issue with you spiritually on the positions you have taken? If every voice is important, wouldn't you want to hear from that particular person's voice? I guess not. Then she goes on to articulate her vision for America and why the assembled parishioners should vote for her.
So here's the point. There are so many, for a variety of reasons, that carry a heavy heart and that want and must be heard. Here in Pennsylvania right now, each of us has an opportunity to make a difference. Because in this moment, we do face a real question. What kind of country do we want to live in? That's before us right now. What kind of country do we want for our children and our grandchildren? A country of chaos, fate, fear, and hate, or a country of freedom, justice, and compassion?
Now, knock me over with a feather, but I never expected to come in today to do an October 28th, happy birthday, sweetheart, that's my wife, an October 28th edition of the Bruce Hooley Show and agree with Kamala Harris on something. Yes, this election is about what kind of country we want. She says a country of chaos, fear, and hate, or a country of freedom, justice, and compassion. I don't want a country of chaos, fear, and hate. I don't want a country where if Donald Trump wins the election, the streets are filled with rioting that is unchecked by the Democrats who are in power, who have law enforcement at their disposal. I don't want the George Floyd riots of 2020 on steroids. I don't want police attacked. I don't want to be labeled as a Nazi because I voted for Donald Trump. And the reason why I'm going to vote for Donald Trump is because I do want a country of freedom, justice, and compassion. Now, we define those terms dramatically differently, and I'm more than willing to have a discussion or an argument, because I have the gift of confrontation, on what freedom and justice and compassion actually are. I, for one, do not think it is compassionate to cut the genitals off of children because they are confused about whether they were born a boy or a girl. I do not think that's compassionate. I think that is cruel. I think it is evil, and I think it is demonic. I do not think it is compassionate to allow open borders where people flood into our country and are given more benefits than old people who are on hard times who get Social Security that is inferior to the amount of free things we hand out to people who have never contributed a dime to the growth of the United States of America. 60 Minutes moved heaven and earth last night to disparage Donald Trump's planned deportation of illegals. And they brought on as representative of all illegals a woman who has lived in the country for decades as an illegal and who has bought her own home. And she's illegal. And, you know, the reporter was like, oh, don't you think this is terrible? Oh, yes, I do think it's terrible. As if every illegal in the country has gotten a job, never committed a crime, bought a home, and contributed to society. We all know that's really representative of illegals.
Today, 68, clear tonight, low 56, partly sunny, breezy day tomorrow, the high near 80. On Wednesday, a warm day, clouds and sun, breezy. We do have an elevated fire risk set up for Wednesday, the high 77, clouds, breezy, and more.
Be heard. Here in Pennsylvania right now, each of us has an opportunity to make a difference. Because in this moment, we do face a real question. In this moment,
Wesley Financial Group is not an offer. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit. 800-885-3333. That's 800-885-3333. 800-885-3333.
Hey folks, Donald Trump Jr. here. Let me ask you this. Does inflation feel worse than we're being told in the news? That's because the official inflation rate doesn't tell the whole story. Since January of 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back. But what you can do is stop your losses today. How? By diversifying your savings.
One of the things I see a lot in South Florida are people that have been in this country that maybe came from Cuba 45 years ago. They've worked here their entire lives. They retire. They get $800, $900, $1,000 a month.
Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantage status. So text PREPARE to 989898. That's PREPARE to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
The Caribbean is calling. Dennis Prager here, and I invite you to join me on a Caribbean cruise this November. Imagine 9 days of basking in the sun surrounded by the stunning beauty of a tropical paradise. We'll cruise the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Aruba, and more. Stroll through Curaçao's iconic pastel-colored shops and snorkel in Bonaire's world-class coral reefs. You'll enjoy some of the most delicious cuisine aboard Holland America's Rotterdam, a fantastic destination itself, this ship. With riveting shows and breathtaking views. We'll be joined by a special guest, talking about the same one that lets her murder baby, share fresh insights, and throw Christians out of her current events,
Christians out of her rallies. Yeah.
And then we had another caller say that with this Delaware
your spot today by
County
calling
Board of Elections early voting, they're having
or book
problems and people can't vote right now.
I didn't know that.
If your home's heating and air conditioning system is on its last leg,
She thinks
don't
there
wait
may
for
be
cold
something
weather to catch you off guard. Get a
Of course.
complete home furnace and air conditioner from Temperature Pro for just $39.99 through the Discount Shopping Club. The regular price is almost $8,000. Temperature Pro is a leader in both commercial and residential HVAC services. And now you can own one for half price. Find this great deal today in the Discount Shopping Club at 989theanswer.com.
Boy, the response from you guys has just been overwhelming when I announced that I can help you with your flooring projects. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that because you can imagine the medical bills after the situation I found myself in just over a little bit of a year ago. And so I'm happy to get to help you and really enjoy meeting you. Really met some fantastic people here. Always, of course, but over the last couple of weeks in particular. So thanks so much for going to brucehooley.com and clicking flooring in the upper right-hand corner of the page. You won't be disappointed because our prices are low relative to your big box stores. We don't have all the things that add to the cost of the consumer buying flooring when you don't have a high rent location, not on a major thoroughfare, not in a city, when you don't have multiple levels of management, things like that. So I can help you out. Carpet, luxury vinyl plank flooring, looks like wood, looks like tile, extremely durable, almost indestructible. BruceHooley.com, click flooring. BruceHooley.com, click flooring. So I want to delve back into Pastor Kamala Harris's message yesterday. It's noteworthy when somebody who every time she opens her mouth testifies to what an ignoramus she is, and or as Mel Gibson referred to her, dumb as a fence post. It is noteworthy when she says the dumbest thing she's ever said, and she did that while addressing this church in Philadelphia yesterday, church of primarily black parishioners. Here is what she said.
God expects us Tell them. We got work to do.
So she knows it's stupid because when she laughs, she's betraying how inane she is. God does not expect us to help him. He is happy. He is content. He is pleased when we help him, but God does not need us to fulfill his purposes. He is perfectly capable and has often demonstrated that he will do that whether we want to help or not. So she is just displaying there how vapid and dumb and completely unaware of the characteristics of God. She's just displaying all of that right there, which is sad. I had an exchange with my daughter who's away at college, and she shared a message with me, and I listened to it. And it's all about, revival in our country, and we got to get to revival in our country. And the way we get to revival in our country is the church has to do a better job. I fully agree with that. And I question myself every day, like, am I speaking truth? I made a little joke a while ago. I have the gift of confrontation. I do. I don't know that it's a gift. I don't know that I balance my tone right. The reason why I rail against transgenderism, the reason why I rail against the LGBTQ recruitment of our kids, the sexualization of children in books and school libraries that don't belong there because kids are not mature enough to handle it. The reason the left is going after our kids, wanting to put sexually inappropriate topics in front of them, is because they're trying to take our kids away from us. They want to control the kids. If you control the kids, you control the culture. And if you control the culture, eventually you control the country. That is what the left is doing. I made the comment on the stage at the Answer event last Tuesday night that the left loves to talk about sex unless it's the only kind of sex God ordains, which is between a married husband and wife. They find that to be, the left finds that to be stupid, inane, boring, but that's the only kind of sex God blesses, because that's the only kind of sex he gives permission for. Okay. So Kamala Harris says, God needs our help. He does not need our help. That is stupid. And then she goes on to talk about what's at stake in this election, and that we're all going to decide what kind of country we want. She's right about that. Let me refresh your memory on what she said in that regard.
Because in this moment, we do face a real question. What kind of country do we want to live in? That's before us right now. What kind of country do we want for our children and our grandchildren?
All right, so let me tell you what kind of country I want for my children and my grandchildren. I want a country where they can pray outside an abortion clinic and they aren't imprisoned. I want a country where they can go to a school board meeting and not have their license plate taken down by law enforcement. I want a country where our border is secure and where people who enter the country legally are later allowed to become citizens if they fulfill certain things and if they assimilate the values from that they came with to our country into the values of our country. In other words, they become us. They don't expect us to become them, or even tolerate the stuff they bring from their country that does not fit with our values. I want a country where the party in power does not accuse the other party of being fascist, racist, Nazi-esque, and the like, simply because they disagree with the policies of their political opponents, where they do not try to imprison their political opponents, where they do not disparage a Supreme Court, threaten to pack it, and ignore Supreme Court rulings on rent moratoriums, affirmative action, student loan bailouts, and the like. That's the kind of country that I want. I want a country where the people in power do not try to get rid of the Electoral College because it is an impediment to them winning elections. I want a country where we don't add the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico as states solely because you know that will give you 4 Democratic senators and thus will allow you to claim more power, not on merit, but by strong-arming your way to do it. That's the kind of country I want. I want a country where there's freedom of speech. All speech, even hateful speech. Even the most hateful speech. Because speech is not a threat to anyone's safety. It is not a threat to anyone's safety, ever. If it makes you feel bad, that's on you, because you are giving power to someone else's words over you. Whatever slur somebody utters toward you is indicative of how small-minded the person is who utters the slur. It says nothing about the person to whom or at whom the slur is directed. That's the kind of country that I want to grow up in. That's the kind of country I did grow up in. That's the kind of country I want my children to continue to grow up in, and that I want my grandchildren to grow up in. And that is why I'm voting for Donald Trump. I am not voting for Donald Trump because he is my savior. I have a savior, and the savior that I have has done the work of a savior much better than Donald Trump ever could. Donald Trump is a vessel. Donald Trump is someone who stands for more of the things that I want our country to stand for than his opponent. That is what an election is. That is what an election is. You pick the best option. You don't get to pick a perfect option. You get to pick the best option. And the option between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris is not remotely close if you share my vision for the kind of country that you prefer your children continue to grow up in, and the kind of country where your grandchildren can grow up in. It's not even close. Now, this has music behind it, and it's Chris Cuomo, and he's not always right or even half the time right. But I don't know if he's found his brain since he left CNN or what. But some of this is worth listening to.
Because in this moment, we do face a real question.
Not that. That's Kamala Harris.
Trump are like Trump, that they speak like Trump, that they act like Trump. They don't. They want to hire Trump to do a dirty job. They want him to be a virus to the political corpus. They want him to disrupt, to destroy, to demean those that they disrespect and dislike, the system that they distrust and despise. They want someone to do what they believe has been done to them and that they cannot do themselves. That's why they don't care that he exhibits terrible behavior, because they're putting him into a terrible place. If you're sending somebody into the jungle, do you really care if they're a savage? You see what I'm saying? And you have to understand it that way. You may not agree, you may not accept, you may not like, but that's what it is.
100%. You're going to send somebody into the jungle to accomplish a task, you need a savage.
It's time to align your money with your American values and stop giving it to companies that partner with the woke movement. Let your patriotic values guide how you invest your money and save for your future. With Monorail's Patriot Portfolio, you can grow your wealth and save for retirement, knowing that you're investing in companies that align with biblical and conservative values. Right now, for a limited time, get a $50 sign-up bonus when you deposit as little as $13 with Monorail's Stars and Stripes Rewards program. The more you deposit, the more you earn. Guaranteed 1% sign-up bonus on any deposit amount. Refer a friend and receive an additional $20. Friends, Monorail's Patriot Portfolio is exactly what Christians...
Now, one of the unfortunate things about the timing of radio is that you end up with at the end of a segment, and you have more to say to flesh out the point you just made, and you don't have time to say it. So what I just said about if you're going to send somebody into the jungle, you need a savage. You only need a savage if the environment is dangerous, right? If you're on a deserted island, there's no animals, there's no cannibals, you don't need to be a savage. You just need to have survival skills. But if you're going into an environment where there are crazed political ideas, where murdering children is considered to be a virtue, where an open border is considered to be smarter than a closed border, if you're going into an environment where the thinking is flawed and where you have to play rough because you're called a Nazi when all you are is someone who's trying to straighten out the country's position on policies of importance, then you need a savage. Okay, so I'm going to make that point when we come back live on air. But as we're ending the first hour of the show, and the second hour of the show streams on only the Bruce Hooley Show Facebook page and the 9890 Answer Facebook page, I wanted to leave you that thought today. You do need a savage when you're going into a savage environment, and there's no doubt that the Democrats have inflicted upon us in America a very savage environment over the last 4 years, really over the last 16 years with Barack Obama, where you couldn't criticize anything Obama did on merit because his race allowed him to brand any opposition as racist. That was a lie then. It's a lie now. Democrats are welded to intersectionality, and the more they become welded to intersectionality, the more they become welded to lunacy. That is why you need a savage, because the jungle into which we are now existing, or the jungle in which we now exist, is a savage place. Savage toward the ideas of our founders, savage toward the future we want to hand to our children, savage to exist in. And that is why Donald Trump has ascended to the top of the Republican Party, because he is a savage. He's not a squish like Mike DeWine or other people who tried to get the nomination away from him as far back as 2016. With that, have a great day.